There's a woman in my life that people absolutely adore. When she is around others, she remembers everything. Names, children, little details most people forget. She always has time for everyone. People look at her and say, "Wow, she is so kind." And then they look at me and say, "You are really lucky." I just smile, because the woman they see in public is someone I only ever see outside. The moment the door closes, everything changes. The warmth disappears. She will not meet my eyes. It is like I am not even there. And after a while, you start asking yourself if something is wrong with her, or if you are the one slowly losing your grip on reality. And that confusion, that constant self-doubt, is exactly where narcissistic dynamics begin. This is famous psychology, and today we are going deep into something that has been messing with your head for way too long. We are talking about narcissistic women who have mastered the art of being everyone's favorite person in public, while treating the people closest to them like they are invisible. And before anyone jumps in with "not all women" or "men do this too," yes, I know. But today we are focusing on this specific dynamic because it shows up in a particular way with women. And if you have lived it, you know exactly what I mean. Let me tell you what happened to my friend Sarah. Her mother-in-law is one of these women. At family dinners, this lady is cooking everyone's favorite dishes, making sure glasses are filled, telling funny stories, being the perfect hostess. Sarah's husband thinks his mother is a saint. The whole family does. But Sarah? Sarah sees what happens before and after those dinners. She sees her mother-in-law criticize everything she wears, make passive-aggressive comments about her parenting, and then completely ignore her when they are alone in the kitchen. But the moment someone walks in, boom, the switch flips. Suddenly it is all sweetness and, "Oh, Sarah, you look lovely today." Sarah thought she was going crazy until she started paying closer attention to the pattern. Here is the thing about narcissistic women who operate this way. They are not stupid. They are actually incredibly strategic, even if they do not consciously realize it. The public caring act is not random. It is calculated, not necessarily in a villain twirling their mustache kind of way, but in a deeply psychological survival mechanism kind of way. These women figured out early in life that being seen as caring, nurturing, and kind gets them something valuable: attention, admiration, status, people telling them how wonderful they are. And that external validation? That is like oxygen to a narcissist. They need it to feel okay about themselves. But let us talk about what is really going on inside her head. A narcissistic woman like this has what I call a cracked mirror sense of self. When she looks at herself, she does not see a complete person. She sees fragments, pieces that only come together when other people reflect back to her that she is special, important, valued. So when she is at a social gathering and people are praising her, complimenting her, thanking her, she feels whole. She feels real. That caring behavior is not entirely fake. In those moments, she genuinely feels like the amazing person everyone says she is. The validation makes her feel alive. Now here is where it gets painful for you. When you are alone with her, there is no audience. There is nobody there to witness her kindness and tell her how great she is. And without that external validation, the motivation to perform just evaporates. You are already there. You are already in her life. Maybe you are her daughter, her partner, her sister, your best friend from childhood. She has already got you locked in, so why put in the effort? In her mind, consciously or not, you are secure. You are not going anywhere. So the energy she would spend being warm and caring toward you gets redirected to where it actually pays off, which is in public, with people who can give her that validation hit. Think about it like this. Imagine you work in sales and you get commission based on closing new deals. Are you going to spend more time and energy sweet-talking a customer who already signed the contract last year? Or are you going to focus on the new potential clients who could boost your numbers? The narcissistic woman operates on similar logic, except instead of money, she is collecting admiration and praise. You are the signed contract. The people in public are the new clients. It sounds cold because it is cold, but that is the reality of how she is wired. Let me tell you something else that makes this dynamic even more confusing. She probably has zero empathy consistency. Most people have a baseline level of empathy that stays pretty steady regardless of who they are with. You care about your friend's problems whether you are at a coffee shop or sitting on your couch at home. But narcissistic women with this pattern, their empathy is like a light switch. It turns on when it serves them and turns off when it does not. When she is in public, listening to someone talk about their struggles and offering support, she might actually feel something in that moment. She might genuinely feel compassionate, not because she deeply cares about that person, but because playing that role makes her feel good about herself. The empathy is real, but it is directed at her own self-image, not at the person she is helping. At home, though, when you are trying to talk to her about something that is bothering you, that switch is off. There is no audience to impress, so there is no reward for listening. Your problems feel like a burden instead of an opportunity to shine. So she shuts down. She changes the subject. She looks at her phone. She makes you feel like you are bothering her with your emotions. And you end up feeling guilty for even bringing it up. Want to know something that will really mess with your head? She is probably exhausted. Being on all the time in public is draining. Maintaining that perfect image, being charming and attentive and caring, remembering details about people's lives, making sure everyone likes her, it takes massive amounts of energy. So when she finally gets home or finds herself alone with you, she is emotionally tapped out. She has spent everything she had performing for others, and there is nothing left for you. You are getting the depleted version, the one who is too tired to even pretend to care. And that is not an excuse for her behavior. It is just the reality of what is happening. Here is another layer that makes this whole thing so damaging. She needs control. All narcissists do, but it shows up differently with women sometimes. In public, she controls how she is perceived. She carefully manages her image, making sure everyone sees her as this caring, wonderful person. But in private, the control shifts. With you, she does not need to control what you think of her as much, because you are already committed to the relationship in some way. Instead, she controls the emotional dynamic. She keeps you off balance by being unpredictable. Sometimes she is warm, especially if she needs something from you or senses you are pulling away. Other times, she is ice cold. You never know which version you are getting, and that keeps you hooked, constantly trying to figure out what you did wrong or what you need to do to bring back the nice version. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, and it is the same principle that makes gambling so addictive. You do not win every time, but you win just enough to keep playing. She gives you just enough warmth and kindness in private to keep you hoping that maybe this time things will be different. Maybe she is finally going to treat you the way she treats everyone else. But then the coldness comes back, and you are left confused and hurt all over again. Let me paint another picture for you. There is this woman at work who is everybody's favorite colleague. She brings in homemade cookies, organizes birthday celebrations, volunteers to help anyone who is struggling with a project. Management loves her. Coworkers rave about her. But her husband at home? He is living with someone who barely acknowledges his existence. She comes home and sits on her phone for hours. When he tries to talk to her, she gives one-word answers. When he suggests doing something together, she acts like it is the most inconvenient request in the world. He has looked at their wedding photos, wondering where that woman went, the one who used to light up when she saw him. But here's the truth. That woman did not go anywhere. She never fully existed in the first place. What he fell in love with was the public performance, the version she shows to the world because that is the version that gets rewarded. Now let us talk about what this does to you mentally and emotionally. First off, you start questioning everything. You wonder if you are making it all up, if you are being too sensitive, if maybe you are the problem. After all, if she is so amazing to everyone else, why would she be cold to you unless you deserve it somehow? This is psychological manipulation at its finest, and you do not even realize it is happening because she is not directly telling you you are wrong. The contrast between her public and private behavior does all the work for her. You gaslight yourself. Then there is the isolation. You cannot really talk to other people about this because they will not believe you. You have tried, maybe, carefully mentioning that she is different at home, and people look at you like you are crazy. Are we talking about the same person? She is so sweet. So you stop talking about it. You keep it to yourself. And that isolation makes the whole thing worse, because now you are dealing with this confusing, painful dynamic completely alone. Your self-esteem takes a beating too. You start internalizing the message that you are not worth the effort. Everyone else gets her kindness, her attention, her warmth, but not you. So clearly there is something wrong with you. You are not interesting enough, not valuable enough, not lovable enough. That is the story you start telling yourself, and over time, you believe it. You might even start working harder to earn her approval, doing more, trying to be better, hoping that if you just get it right, she will finally treat you the way she treats everyone else. But it never works because the problem is not you. It never was. So what do you actually do about this? First thing, stop doubting yourself. If your gut is telling you that something is off, listen to it. Your experience is real. The fact that she is nice to other people does not invalidate what you are going through with her in private. Both things can be true at the same time. She can be the town's sweetheart and still treat you terribly. Those are not contradictory. They are just two sides of the same narcissistic coin. Second, document the pattern. I do not mean literally keeping a journal, although you could. I mean pay attention. Notice when the switch happens. Notice how she acts in public versus private. Notice how you feel after spending time with her in different settings. When you start seeing the pattern clearly, it becomes harder to gaslight yourself. The evidence is right there. Third, set boundaries. And this is the hard part. Boundaries with narcissistic people are tricky because they do not respect them. But you still need them for your own sanity. Maybe that means limiting how much time you spend with her. Maybe it means not sharing personal stuff with her anymore because she has proven she cannot be trusted with your emotions. Maybe it means calling out the behavior when it happens. I have noticed you are much warmer when other people are around. Why is that? Just naming it can sometimes shift the dynamic, though do not expect a real answer or change. Fourth, build your support system outside of this relationship. Find people who actually show up for you consistently, who treat you well whether there is an audience or not. Those are your people. Invest your energy there. Stop pouring yourself into someone who only values you when nobody is watching what they do with you. And here is the tough love part. You might need to walk away. I know that is complicated, especially if we are talking about family or a long-term partnership. But not all relationships are worth saving. Some are just toxic, and staying in them slowly destroys you. If you have tried everything and nothing changes, if you are constantly drained and hurt and confused, you have permission to leave. You are not obligated to keep someone in your life just because they are nice to other people. What matters is how they treat you. One more thing before I wrap this up. Understanding why she does this does not mean you have to forgive it or accept it. Maybe she developed these patterns because of trauma or the way she was raised. Maybe her parents only gave her attention when she performed or achieved something. Maybe she learned early that love is conditional and transactional. That is sad, and it provides context, but it does not excuse the damage she is causing you now. You can have compassion for her story while still protecting yourself from her behavior. If you are sitting here recognizing someone in your life, drop a comment and tell me about it. How does she act in public versus private? How long did it take you to see the pattern? And what did you do about it? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to realize they are not alone in this. Share this video with someone who is going through the same thing, because sometimes just knowing you are not crazy makes all the difference. This is Famous Psychology, where we break down the behaviors that break you down. Hit that like button if this opened your eyes to something you have been dealing with, and subscribe because we are just getting started with understanding the people who confuse us the most. Remember, you deserve consistency. You deserve to be treated well whether there is an audience or not. Do not settle for anything less.